You have questions for each other first. You gotta be thinking.
Probably the biggest question I would have for either of you is probably as a therapist, obviously we're seeing the individuals that come to us injured, and I feel the majority of those that do come injured is because of, you know, a poor training schedule or a poor transition, you can call it. A transition from more of a, you know, motion control or stability shoe, and they jump on this wagon here and they try to convert too quickly maybe. Do you guys teach or educate people to, you know, how quickly they should try a minimalist shoe? Is there an amount of hours or distance they should try? That would be a great thing I would love to know for my patients.
Yeah. You want to go first, or I'll
go ahead,
address that one
first.
Yeah, that's a real interesting question, because anytime you introduce into the market a product like this, which is very specialized, you know, it puts you at risk, like you said, of injured consumers and unhappy consumers. We definitely want people to be out there exercising, healthy, happy, and enjoying activity. That's goal number one. And technically, so the objective response to that question is there is a hang tag, and it talks about a 10% volume rule. So when you start using a shoe like this, New Balance on paper would recommend that 10% roughly of your weekly mileage would be where you would start with something like this. But second to that is New Balance will launch a shoe like this in the running specialty channel. So stores like Running Fit, where the staff are more educated in fitting and the industry, and we wouldn't place a shoe like this in perhaps a sporting goods store where the staff are not as educated in delivering the best possible service to the customer. So I think it's twofold. It's part literature associated with the shoe, but also part our training of sales associates in our retailers and making sure it's positioned in the best possible retail channel to service the consumer.
Sort of along the same lines, from the barefoot running perspective, the barefoot running community is sort of divided between the barefoot purists who are only barefoot, all they do is run barefoot, and people that use minimalist shoes like the New Balance shoes or Vibrams or Merrells or variety of other shoes that are on the market now. The group that really embraced the minimalist shoes, which I really include myself in that because I run races that, quite frankly, would be very, very difficult to run barefoot, has went to great lengths to try to educate people about the different elements of form, different elements of technique, but probably most importantly, just the idea of being patient and understanding this is what you're going to experience when you transition. It's very hard to come up with an objective total, like to say, run X number of miles this day, do this. You know, coming up with a specific plan is somewhat difficult because as individuals, it's going to vary. I helped a lady, she probably it took her about 8 or 9 months to transition to the point where she could run a 5K, which is an extremely long time. The flip side of that, a good friend of mine started running in minimalist shoes. Probably 5 weeks later, he did a 68-mile run. It was more than twice his longest run ever. And he didn't have any side effects at all, besides slightly sore calves the next day. The day after that, he was fine. Granted, that's definitely an exception. Both of them are exceptions to the rule, but it kind of sheds light on the difficulty of prescribing a specific distance. So I teach people to listen to their body, understand this is the difference between some soreness, some new muscles being used, and something that could be harmful. So I try to teach people the difference between those sensations.
I think, as Jason mentioned, education is so important, and I know Running Fit is launching a Running Fit Form training, and partnering both between Running Fit Form and a minimalist product is really important. It really goes together, and running, having been in the track world and talked to a lot of coaches over the years, there is more to running than just going out and running to make sure that the experience is a positive one. And like if you take golf lessons for that sport or you take tennis lessons, running can be done well, which can maximize the experience, and it can be done unwell, if you're just going out there blindly. So I think, like with Barefoot University, Running Fit Form, associating form with a minimalist product just overall improves the experience.
I have a question about that then. Like, okay, so you're, and I can't remember your name in the middle.
Right.
Okay, so let's say someone can run and I can run barefoot and I understand that, let's say someone's it's going well. Should someone go and like have their form analyzed and say, oh, you could tune this up, or is it just each person's, how do you see, what do you think would be the best thing to do? Should every person get their form really analyzed?
Me specifically?
Yeah.
Sure, well,
Or have all?
obviously, if everyone got their form analyzed, it'd be very beneficial. If someone is running relatively injury-free and pain-free and doing well, it's not something I would typically suggest, unless they were looking to convert to something like this, or to improve their time and their speed. And you know, even your most seasoned runners, they can hit a plateau with their progress. And a lot of times that can be really improved with changing the form or improving the form. So if it was a situation like that, I would probably recommend it. If it was a standard weekend wearer that was just out there for general health and was relatively pain-free and symptom-free, it's not something I would probably suggest. It's so, you know, it's so independent and it's so based on that person and what's going on, really.
But they could be faster.
But they could be faster. If their goal is to be faster, I would absolutely recommend it.
You know,
Especially, even if they were pain-free, I mean, absolutely.